Mic on? All right. Let me know how the audio sounds. Say something. Let me know if the audio sounding all right. We are live from Occupy City Hall, Rockford, Illinois. Feel like I've been doing this too many times lately, but I want to thank anybody who donated money to help me get bonded out of jail. It was very much appreciated. I hate that we got to continue to keep going through this unnecessarily repetitive process. But thank you to the people who were supportive and shared, even if you didn't donate, if you shared any of the information for donations. Thank you. It's very much appreciated. I'm going to try my best to keep this the issue where the issue's supposed to be at, and not on distractions. And me being in the arrest that took place itself is a distraction. So let's get into the issues. I have not seen what happened at City Market yet, so I'm gonna have to get on live and watch the live and talk to people and get secondhand information and be a spectator. This will be the first one that I was a spectator for the entirety of. And that'll have to be how I get informed about City Market. So I'm not going to speak on what took place today at City Market. I'm going to speak on the things that sort of took place outside of City Market and tie that back into City Market. Please, anybody that's watching this, please share this live too. Share this video. Please share this video. Okay. Okay. So I think one of the first, I got a few things written down here. I'm trying to get better at making sure I hit certain points. And so, but also I like to speak loosely, and I don't want to feel like I'm confined to this. So I just maneuver around some of these points to try to make an overall reasoning for the video. The lives we've been doing, I've been trying to title them something specific to try to tie together all the thoughts. And so this is the reason that I titled it that. Let me point out this. The last two times that I was arrested, the previous two times I was arrested before today, I was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. The disorderly conducts, I was not arrested in the moment in which these actions took place. I was arrested days later. Both times I was clearly protesting, clearly exercising my First Amendment right. Both times, one time I was outside of City Market Pavilion, or outside of the City Market area, and Todd Cagnoni, a city worker, was coming out. I did not threaten Todd Cagnoni or attempt to assault Todd Cagnoni or do anything that would have put Todd Cagnoni in any fear or any danger. Feeling of any danger. I asked Todd Cagnoni how come him and Tom had a press conference for City Market, but they did not have a press conference for the multiple people who have been killed by the police, who have been assaulted by the police or shot by the police, and in the instance of Faustin Guaitigo murdered by a sheriff deputy. How come they could find the time to do a press conference to promote a fair, basically, or the City Market, but they can't find the time to do a press conference to address people, black and brown people, being shot down in the streets by the law enforcement, especially as we live in a time and a climate in which multiple cities around this nation are cognizant of these issues and are going out of their way to start treating these issues in a different manner. How come we sit here in 2021 in Rockford is doing everything they can to continue to treat these issues in the same manner that it always has, and not actually genuinely trying to move forward with addressing these issues? You can tell a lot from a person by the things that they choose to address when they're criticized. You can tell a lot about how they feel about the people who are criticizing them, with how they choose to address it. I'll tie that back into some of the things that's been going on locally with some of the people with differences of ideological differences with the movement here. Anytime that there's been brought to the table grievances, where even if they've been aired out in manners in which I would not agree with or we would not agree with as an organization, we've taken the time out to address those issues and to address those grievances. Because one, it sends a message about how you feel about the things you are being accused of. It sends a message about how you feel about the things that it sends a message about how you feel about the way someone is interpreting your actions. And when you care about somebody, when you care about a group of people, you care about how you interpret your actions. Whether they're interpreting them correctly or incorrectly, you still care. And so you take the time to explain your actions. You take the time to explain your ideology. It doesn't mean, or your beliefs. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have the same standpoints. Nobody's out here saying that Tom and Ty Cagnoni and all of these city officials should have the exact same standpoint that we have about these issues. We're too far away to be trying to force our opinions or beliefs onto people, or ideology onto people. Only thing that we're saying is to address these issues, to tell people what it is that you believe, to tell people what it is that you think, and don't do it with a Facebook post. Facebook was invented 10, 15 years ago. How are you using a social media platform to speak to a community of people that have been dealing with an issue for decades, for centuries, have been dealing with an issue for centuries, and the way you gonna choose to deliver the message to them is through a platform that was invented 10, 15 years ago. Some of the oldest people in the black community ain't on Facebook to see the mayor's Facebook post when he talk about these young men being shot or the young men being beat, or talk about speak on these issues. They not on Facebook to see that, and that's done purposefully. It's purposeful when somebody puts out just a Facebook post or just a Facebook statement to address something and doesn't go out of their way to have a press conference or to have a video. Imagine if after May 30th, after those businesses have been looted and the things that happened in District 1, and imagine if the mayor just put a Facebook post out. It would be ludicrous. But somehow people don't apply that same state of mind to when someone is actually murdered. Because to a lot of people, what happened on May 30th deems addressing more than Tyrus Jones being shot. What happened on May 30th deems addressing more than Denzel Duvant being beat. What happened on May 30th deems addressing more than Jose Gonzalez Jr. being shot, more than Faustin Guaitigo being murdered because of money. Because these people, these entities know that there's no money being lost from Jose Gonzalez Jr. being shot. Not true money that they care about, maybe in some type of lawsuit down the line, but they got money to the side for a lawsuit, so they don't care about that. It's no money being lost when Faustin Guaitigo or Tyrus Jones is being shot. But you see, at City Market, they felt like they lost money last year, whether it was true or not, because they can't gauge how much money they lost because of the pandemic and how much money they may have lost because of protesting. But in there, and that's another thing that lets you know, and that's why I titled this what I titled it. That's another thing that lets you know how racist the people involved in this are. They are so racist, so prejudiced, so biased that they legit think that it's probably 50% a pandemic and 50% protest. That is the reason that they lost this money. And they'll never be able to remove that from their mind. In the midst of a pandemic that was going around globally, all of these different industries falling apart, all these different industries breaking and folding, they think that they put the pandemic and the protesting on equal grounds with why it wasn't people out there at City Market. And then that's why they've gone to this extra extent. Because you see, the pandemic has went away. Not went away, excuse me. The pandemic is not at the same gravity that it was last year, even though some of the people who attended City Market don't even think the pandemic was real, but that's a topic for a different day. But as the pandemic has lessened, they have stretched out where the area that they're using for City Market. So it's clearly that they're not doing that for the pandemic. They have stretched out that area because of the fear that they have of people protesting, because of the fear that they have of people bringing up these issues, because of the fear they have of them losing money because people don't want to come out while people are holding signs or holding a megaphone. or sirens on a megaphone going, or music on the speaker going. Think about that. Think about just a little bit further down that river, the experiences of the people that live on the other side of that river on a daily basis. Think about the daily disruptions to their lives, the daily disorder caused to their lives because of living in a police state, because of the communities that they live in. And then think about this gentrified area, and they feel like they can't even come out if it's a sirens or if it's megaphones or if it's people with signs. Last year, that's how it was. So that's what these people think in their mind. I'm just giving you the thought pattern. I'm giving you the thought pattern. I don't know. It's no way to gauge last year how many people didn't come because of protests and how many people didn't come because of the pandemic. But I know this: way more people didn't come because of a pandemic than didn't come because of a protest. And if anybody had any type of moral integrity as they were working in for City Market, they wouldn't even mention protests when they talk about the reasons that they lost money or reasons that they don't have that money is lessened or that they didn't have as much of an economic gain. Those is dog whistles. Those is code words. You see, that's how they give the okay to weaponize the police and make calls to the state attorney friends and district attorney friends and alderman friends. That's at one of the first city markets that we went down there at. It was 2 aldermen there. This is where these people go to. This is an event that they that's the other thing too, is besides the fact that of the money, it's the image. This is a certain image that they trying to give off, and the image that they trying to portray of Rockford is not of the issues that go on for marginalized people in Rockford. That's why they got the buildings as you come downtown got these paintings on them. That's why Stacey Morrissey, the wife of Larry Morrissey, the old mayor, went out of her way to make that post earlier to try to speak up this image of downtown. They trying to this image of Rockford that they trying to get. That's why they got the hotel down there. That's why they put them little Rockford symbols in the ground over there, over by Davis Park. It's this image that they trying to give off, and nowhere inside that image is Black liberation. And hell, nowhere inside that image is even speaking of Black liberation. They want the Black people here to just sit back and be quiet and pretend like they happy. And anytime they get upset, they gonna point to you. Look at the high crime rate. Look at the violence rate. Look at the black on black violence. They do a little press conference of crime statistics. Meanwhile, we live in a city that is named in a lawsuit against the school district for maybe being the most segregated school district in American history. This school district, and the moment that lawsuit had been up, the people involved in this school district have went back to doing the same things. Think about the generations of people who have been miseducated by this city, and then think about the demographics of those people who have been miseducated, and think about the lack of opportunities that those people had once they went out into the job market and into the employment market, and then think about the high volume of how much crime not only is enabled in lower class communities and in poor communities, but pushed into these communities. When you go back and look into the history of policing like we've done, and you see how cities chose to allow crime to take place in certain areas, not 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago at the beginning of policing, how they redlining neighborhoods, and redlining neighborhoods didn't just include limiting where people were changing the districts to make sure that when Black people voted, if they voted, it didn't matter. It didn't only include limiting the schools that Black people were going to and Black children were going to, but it also included the places that they was going to let crime take place. And it also included the manner in which they were going to treat crime in certain areas, the manner in which they were going to police certain areas. And so these things have happened for generations. For generations, these things have happened without ever truly being addressed in this city, without ever truly being addressed, just being used as talking points whenever Black people get too loud about police officers violating the law against them. Whenever Black people get too loud about racial injustice happening to them in areas of this city. But what about Ray Ray and them that's over there shooting? I'm talking to you. We talking to you about the police murdering somebody, and you talking to me about civilians. That's like me talking to you about the parent abusing the children, and then you trying to talk to me about the children fighting each other. And so in that instance, it lets me know that either A, you disingenuous with humanity, you don't view human life equally. You don't value human life the same, which is what we've been saying, which is what I already know. That's the reason that these memorials get torn down on such a regular basis. The memorials don't get torn down because they own a light pole. The memorials don't get torn down because they against city citations or city ordinances, because it's not no certain time in which it's not like every 8 days they tear the memorials down, or every 14 days they tore the memorials down, or when somebody called about the memorials, they tear the memorials down. No, they do it at they whim. They do it at they whim. I've watched not just the white people that work inside this building. And again, I'm going to use generalizations because let me tell you why I'm going to use generalizations. I sat inside a courtroom today where all the people that was involved in making the decision and responsible for whether I was going to be free or whether I was going to leave, they was all white men. All white men who I know don't have no kind of understanding about the reasons I'm even arrested. And if they do have some type of understandings, they're prejudiced understandings that would lead more to me being arrested than lead to me being freed. You see what I'm saying? And so that is what I mean, and what other black people mean when they generalize white people like that. It's the white power structure that exists. And again, and as a white person, you don't decide one day to opt out of the white power structure. You can't. That's not how these work. It is no difference than me as a man. I can't one day decide to opt out of the privilege I get from being a man, or my education. I was privileged to have gotten a certain education when I was younger. Once I have that education, I have it now. Yeah, things may change in the future. I may have other things that go on, but I don't get to just opt out and pretend like I don't have it. I've been given that privilege. For a lot of people who have a certain amount of wealth, it's like that. So for certain people who have certain names, last names, it's like that. You're related to this person, you're this person, and so you don't opt out of that. You can try all you want to try to opt out of it. It's all types of white people who may do things to go against the grain, to not be the regular run-of-the-mill white person. But if me and them both get arrested, not even arrested, me and them both go to get a job at the same time, and I go to do the interview, and I go when I'm a black man, and they go when they're a white person, and the person that is interviewing us is a white person, and so they're geared to be more likely to hire him because he's white, not only because of the fact that he looks at him and he feels more familiar, but because hiring techniques tell him that he should hire the white person over the black person, because the mentor who's training him for the job tells him he should hire the white person over the black person, and maybe none of them even understand that they're doing it on a racist level. You know, maybe earlier, a generation, one generation above or one generation previously, it was a cognizant racist thing, and now it's just a subconscious racist thing. Which is why certain groups of people, certain individuals within groups of people do get so bothered when they get accused of racism. I've watched it. I've watched people who are clearly exhibiting racist behavior become distraught when you call them racist. It's because it's so deeply ingrained in their mind. It's so deeply ingrained in their subconscious that they're really it's not even it's denial. It's they are just completely ignorant and oblivious to the actions and to their intentions being exuding these racist mindsets and these racist patterns. And so I sit in. So anyways, I'm saying all these things to try to speak to the mindset of some of the parties involved in the city of Rockford, and then how those same parties are involved in City Market. And so one of the parties I want to speak to with this type of mindset is the woman Kathy McDermott. Now, I'm gonna make a separate live where I just sort of speak about this issue, these instances, whatever, these events, by themselves, so that way I can share that video by itself, and people can just hear that specific these stories or whatever. But I want to point out that multiple things. I was rearrested today, or put back. Bond was increased today because of pretrial service, because conditions of release that were violated. And so I want to go through some of these conditions of releases that were violated, and we're talking about the mindset of this racist mindset that people have. And even it being a subconscious racist mindset, I want to speak to Kathy McDermott. So I have had one conversation with Kathy McDermott before. The conversation that I had with Kathy McDermott was in front of multiple police officers. A portion of the conversation I had with Kathy McDermott is filmed and on Facebook, and the police go through everything that's on Facebook. They've seen anything that's on my Facebook. So there is no belief or nobody. There's no evidence at all of me and Kathy McDermott ever having any type of contentious conversation, of me and Kathy McDermott ever being in any type of verbal altercation at all. But Kathy McDermott is in charge of, one of the people in charge of City Market. She's one of the faces of City Market, the face of City Market, you would say. So when we went to the very first City Market a year ago now, and me and Terry, just the mic and the speaker, Kathy McDermott was the person who came and told us that we needed to leave, really asked us to leave, and we obliged. She did not have the right for us to leave. This was very early on in these things, but we did leave. We left. We came back and we left. We had a conversation with her. The first time I talked to Kathy McDermott, first things that she had to say to me was about money. And even though it may not be the first thing that other people have said since, it bears mentioning that every person I have ever talked to about City Market, who's involved in City Market, bring up money. Even it don't matter at how hard they try to. Thank you. It don't matter how hard that they try to steer the conversation into other things, because City Market is completely a financial venture. They always got to end up bringing it back to money. And so even though they may not be, they might not even themselves be cognizant of it, there's not a single conversation I've had with anybody participating in City Market who has not came back to some of the same points that Kathy McDermott has, which is the issue. So Kathy McDermott explains to me, to myself, that because of COVID, people, small businesses losing money. Her number one priority, her only priority, is making money and making sure that people are coming and spending money with these vendors. And so she believes in her mind that people won't come. She's telling me this. She believes that we will be an inhibitor to people coming. Now, up to this point, one young white girl had started crying as we was there and gave us some water. So, and she was there working. She felt fine. People kept coming to her booth. She was okay with making money, whatever financial finances she was yielding. Multiple people who were getting food or getting something to drink walked by and stood by as we were out there, and continued to walk on and continued to go on. And they seemed completely fine with enjoying their day and what going on with their day. And so the same issues and the same thoughts come back. The reason that she felt that she was going to lose money with people being down there at City Market is because of this subconscious racism that she has in her mind, where when she sees she hears this message being disseminated, she thinks that other people won't want to hear the message because she doesn't want to hear the message. She thinks that other people won't want to come to City Market while we're there speaking about this because she wouldn't want to come to City Market while we're there speaking about this. And again, that's the racism that I'm speaking about. And so anyways, we leave, we go, there's no fight, there's nothing happens, nobody threatens Kathy McDermott, anything like that. Weeks pass, City Market goes on, protests go on, eventually people get arrested. This was July 1st, the interaction with Kathy McDermott. I get arrested August 14th and charged with a felony. While walking on a crosswalk, I was charged again. This goes back to the racism within this. The officer who arrested me and charged me with the felony for walking on a crosswalk, for felony mob action for walking on the crosswalk, is the same police officer who would go on a month later to shoot Tyrus Jones in the back while he was running away. He's the same officer who would go on after charging me with a false felony mob action after shooting Tyrus Jones in the back while running away, will participate in the brutal assault of Denzel Duvant. This is his year. This is the tell of the tape for Dominic McNeese in the last year. And so I would get this charged with this felony mob action. I would sit in jail and get released on from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Get released on Monday. When I was released on Monday, I go into a court. I'm released on my own recognizance, but I'm given a no contact order with Kathy McDermott. When the name is said to me, I have no idea who the woman is. I end up realizing the first time I interacted with her, I didn't know her name. We didn't exchange names. The woman didn't even say her name. That's how you know the woman didn't give a damn about what I was talking about. She didn't even introduce herself and say her name to me. Since this, I ain't met a white person who don't start off with their name. So that's how I know she don't give a damn. But we after I'm giving this no contact order, I'm sitting in the jail on the phone call or whatever. And I don't know who Kathy McDermott is. I come out the jail and I come out the little room for the court. I get released and I ask a few people like, who's Kathy McDermott? I don't know who Kathy McDermott is. And somebody tells me she's the woman in charge of City Market. Terry tells me she's the one we talked to at City Market. And so then I know who she is now. But I'm thinking to myself, I haven't seen this woman in 2 months. Or a month and a half, however long. I ain't seen this woman in however long. How do I have a no contact order with her? And how is it attached to this felony mob action for walking on a crosswalk that is outside of City Market's boundaries, outside of City Market's permit? So, and then let me say this too. Today I was also given, I already had a no contact order with the man Todd Cagnoni, who I ain't did nothing to. But then today I was given another no contact order with Nancy Johnson. I don't know who the fuck Nancy Johnson is. I have no idea who Nancy Johnson is. So now I have a no contact order with somebody who I don't know who they are. I don't know who they look like. I don't know. Only thing I know is that they was inside of City Hall when we protested during the swearing in of the alderman. 50 to 75. I don't know how many people was inside of there. So now I have to find out. I have to do some type of work to find out who this person is that I have a no contact order with, who apparently I've broken some. My conduct made her feel in fear, but I don't know who the woman is. And again, with this no contact order, if the no contact order is violated, it's grounds for me to have this same thing happen all over again with having my bond revoked or having my bond raised. And again, it's important this. No contact order is going to come into play again. So, Kathy McDermott, who I have the no contact order with, after we ended up doing the occupation. So City Market ends, we end up doing the occupation. We was in the back. We ended up going to the front. What up? We was in the back. We got pushed out the back. We ended up going to the front. We was in the front. While in the front, it was 2 coffee shops. I started liking coffee from being out here. 2 coffee shops. One of them was Wired. The other one was Velvet Robot. I went into Velvet Robot the first time, and then, again, this is my mistake, and this is how. And then, see, this is, and I guess and I don't want to even use the word mistake because I didn't do nothing wrong. But I go inside Velvet Robot for the first time, get some coffee, sit down. I'm in there chilling. I'm not even cognizant of the fact that Velvet Robot is attached to City Market. I'm knowing it's in the area of City Market, but I'm not aware that it's attached to City Market. And that's from me not even thinking nothing about it. I don't got no issues with this place. We came out there last year to address the issues, to raise awareness to the issues. We didn't come out there last year because we had some vendetta against City Market, or we have vendetta against the people at City Market. And then once we came out there, the people who work at City Market weaponizing the police, the people part of the city who are trying to the people who are part of the city who are trying to keep pushing City Market because of the way that the city of Rockford benefits from City Market, going and weaponizing the police, are the ones who caused it to be an issue between the people protesting and City Market. It was not initially an issue with the people protesting in City Market. We went to City Market because it was a group of people there, and we wanted this message to be heard by a group of people. It's the same reason that we've went to any area since then, and even before then. We want the message to get heard by people, and in the same instance, we want the message to be heard by people who do not already know the message, who do not know these things are happening. And as it stands, the demographic of the people at City Market, that is that exact demographic. It's the same reason that we go to Nicholas Conservatory on Tuesdays for Food Truck Tuesday, because of that demographic there. And again, are doing, we have a specific ideology as an organization. We have specific objectives as an organization. We don't discourage other organizations from having different ideology or different objectives. So if somebody else is deciding that they want to go into the neighborhoods or into the communities where these things are happening specifically, and that's where they want to raise the message at, or if these people are deciding that they want to do other things in other areas, we encourage all of those things. We want all people to do all of those things, but what we are doing is we are trying to bring this message and bring these issues to people in this city who do not know about these issues, who do not know about these things happening. And in the midst of, and we're going to use any means necessary to raise awareness to the issues and to get people's attention to these issues. And when I say any means necessary, we have had a long track record of, we haven't just burned buildings down. We have not assaulted anybody or harmed anybody. We have not burnt cars or burnt no food trucks down. And again, I'm not sitting here naming off these things to cast aspersions on these things or to condemn people doing these things. I believe that the reason these things happen are because of traumas that have been done to communities, traumas that have been done to individuals that manifest in these uprisings in this way. So I'm not condemning these things, but what I'm saying is these are not our tactics. These are not the things that we have done. So when I say by any means necessary, we have a track record of what by any means necessary means. It means that we're willing to stop traffic. And we've done it in legal manners every time. We have never stopped traffic in a manner that was illegal. We have been, again, the same thing. When we have been at City Market, the things that we have done at City Market, the manners that we have demonstrated at City Market have not been illegal manners. Matter of fact, they've been so within the guidelines that they have changed the guidelines to try to make these things illegal, to try to make these things out of bounds. They've been so within the rules of what is at play with protesting that these people are changing the rules. We getting so close to the goal line that they pushing the goalpost back. Think about this. Last year, everybody who got arrested, 33 people at City Market got arrested, some multiple times, got arrested for stopping traffic. After for 4 weeks, they stopped traffic. The police officers initially put cars and stopped traffic the same way that the streets are shut off now. And then they decided, in the words of Chief O'Shea, that enough was enough and they wasn't going to do it anymore. And they wanted traffic to go through, and the traffic going through was so important. And so they arrested people who stopped the traffic. And now we get to a year later and they've shut the whole street down and stopped traffic. Now we get to a year later and they were telling people how dangerous this street may be with people walking on the crosswalk, and now they've shut the street down and it's people drunk all up and down the street. They got crosswalk signs in the middle of the street, people swerving in and out of the street. People was down at CJ's partying in the middle of the street, drinking and kicking it, music playing all over, everybody driving, don't know what to do on the road, closed areas. They still got all this stuff out, but they worried about the safety people had on the streets. But they arrested people last year because they was worried about people's safety on the streets. And that's the hypocrisies that I'm speaking about. And as I continue with, I'll keep speaking about. And that's how you understand racism. You understand racism through hypocrisies. You understand racism through things being unequitable, through things being unequal. Anybody who is at City Market this year who is black, who did not get an invite to be there last year, should understand that racism is the reason that you are there. Racism can work in the benefit of certain people. Racism benefited Barack Obama. Racism benefited Barack Obama. It was people who, because of him being black, because of the history of racism in this country, felt that they did some type of liberating, vindicating action by voting for this man. It was white power structures and white institutions that felt if they could put a black face in front of these things, that people wouldn't be able to see the corruption. People wouldn't perceive the corruption the same way. And so again, I point these things out to say that racism doesn't always manifest in somebody hanging somebody on a tree. Racism doesn't always manifest in somebody yelling a racial slur out a window. Racism doesn't always manifest in only hiring white people at a job and not hiring black people. Racism manifests in the mayor having a press conference for City Market, but not having a press conference when Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot when running away. Racism manifests in the mayor having a press conference for City Market, but not having a press conference when Denzel Duvine is beat while he's handcuffed in Rockford. Racism manifests in the mayor of Rockford, Illinois, having a press conference after May 30th when property was destroyed and nobody was killed, and then not having a press conference after someone was shot in the city 2-3 months later. Not having a press conference in the city when the same officer who shot that man was reinstated, and then a month with them being reinstated, participated in the assault of a man while being handcuffed. And so as these things as these actions happen like this, that's how you gauge racism. Tom McNamara does not have to come out and call me a nigger. I see his actions here day to day. I see the things he chooses to speak about and not speak about. I see the way he tries to use these Uncle Tom Negroes as shields. And I see the way these Uncle Tom Negroes take the bullet for him in hopes to get something in return. And so I understand that. So I understand racism does not have to manifest in the same ways it manifested for my mother, or in the same manners that it manifested for my grandmother, or the same manners that it manifested in for my great-grandmother. And if we don't get to a place where we understand that it's not going to manifest like that, if we don't get to a place where we understand that it's not going to look that way until we get to a place where we become politically mature enough in this area to know what it looks like, to understand political racism, because that's one of the things that we're dealing with at a high level too, is political racism. And unfortunately, it's not even just black people who are not politically educated in this city. It is the city and this community as a whole is politically ignorant. And that's why they can maneuver and do some of the things that they've done around these issues. Imagine going to Chicago or Seattle or Portland and saying that and hearing the police officers is stopping the whole city up for some protesters walking in the crosswalk. And then imagine that you find out it's only like 25, 30. That is what this street is shut down for. Do not think for a second that it was 200 people or 300 people out there at City Market last year protesting. It was 50 people, 75 people max, 50 to 75 people. On the crosswalk, it would be 20 to 30 people walking on the crosswalk. And every time they would make an arrest, there'd be less people walking on the crosswalk. It's the issues that they are worried about being heard. It's the issues that they are worried about being disseminated, because they know that as we speak, as this City Market is going on, as everybody's out here kicking it and partying, that there is a Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force investigation into 3 different incidents. 3 different incidents. 3 different incidents. And this time last year, we coming up onto May 30th. We coming up on May 30th. This time last year, it was no investigations into any of these by the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force, and the city stopped. The city stopped for a man losing his life states away, states over. And it's good that it stopped. It's good. I wouldn't be here right now if the city had not stopped. So I'm not discouraging that. What I'm saying is we have to get to a place where we learn how to stop more often. We have to get to a place where we learn how to stop more often. We have to get to a place where we are politically cognizant of the manners in which it's time to stop. The manners in which it's time to find a way to no longer do business as usual. That's what we have to do. Jose Gonzalez Jr. Was shot while he was running away. Faustin Guaitigo was murdered inside of his home, and then the Raymond Jackson, the police car chase the police car chase that they're saying is not a car chase, in which a man being chased by a police department crashed into a car with a man and his children, and the man lost his life. I believe the child is still in critical care. A friend of his came by. This is and let me speak on this too. I feel like in an effort of transparency, this is something that I've kept an eye on and we paid attention to here at the May 30th Alliance. We feel it's no need for police chases. We don't live in a Fast and Furious movie. We don't these streets are not a simulation or some type of video game. I would not want my mother to be on the streets while a car chase is going on. I don't care what the person you are chasing has done. The moment you begin to chase them, everybody on the street's life becomes at risk. And that lets you know the value of life, because these chases that have taken place in Rockford and Winnebago County are not chases that have taken place where somebody has a hostage in the car, or where somebody has bombs in the car, where you have to get to this person and catch this person and stop this person, or this person is going to lead to someone else's life being lost. No, it's police officers with these warrior cop mindsets, with these cowboy mindsets, who want to get somebody dead or alive, who want to bring their person in no matter what, and so they go off on these chases. But what happens is, when these chases take place, and unfortunately I've seen it happen in the comments, when this man lost his life, is it becomes a divisive issue. It becomes people saying the criminal, speaking of the person being chased. And again, I'm not here to as civilians are going to not try to get caught by the police. So we have to get to a place where we understand that. Whether it be running away on foot, whether it be trying to drive away, people don't want to go to jail. I was just in jail. I didn't want to go to jail. I had a thought that it was possible I might go in jail. I might get arrested and go to jail. And it wasn't no way I was going to actually run, but I made the joke, oh, maybe I won't go to court. Again, I say that to say that fight or flight is a real mentality. That is something that is naturally in somebody's head when they are in fear of losing their freedom. It is not humane to take people's freedom away. It's not humane to institutionalize people in the manner in which we do. And that is why it goes against. That's why so many people, the man that was out on the furlough, that's why the man's out on the furlough. He don't want to go back to jail. He don't want to lose his freedom. It becomes the responsibility of the institutions to understand human nature and to not allow human nature to cause other people's lives to be at risk, to not allow somebody's human nature to devalue their life. Because one person is going to run away when a police officer is after them and someone else is going to just get arrested does not mean that the life of the person who was just ready to get arrested is less valuable than the life of the person who ran. It does not mean that the crime, if they're both, if me and somebody else both charged of stealing a car, and I don't resist when I get arrested, so I go in peacefully, and the other person ran away, and so he gets shot and he get killed, how can you justify that? How can you justify that? Because the way we reacted to being the way we reacted to losing our freedom was vastly different. When we went through different experiences in life, when we know that you can line up two people and it's no two things that they're going to do directly the same. And again, this is where it goes back to where the over policing becomes an issue. When you over police black communities, and then black people are end up being in a situation where they have to deal with fight or flight more often, they end up being the ones who deal with the consequences of fight or flight more often. If these same police officers were to go and over police white communities, then it would be the white people who are dealing with the consequences of fight or flight more often, because fight or flight is not inherently black thing. Fight or flight is not inherently brown or Latina thing or a white thing. It is a human thing. It's a human thing. Fight or flight is and this is how you know that these officers and these institutions understand human nature at this level, is because that same human nature fight or flight mentality is used in reverse when police officers ask people questions and people feel as if they have to do what the police officer says. When the police officer says, "Can I search your car?" and the person feels like, yes, they have to let the officer search their car. It's because of that same human nature, that same psychological thing, because they feel powerless in the situation. They feel powerless in this situation. The same thing when people are asked to be searched. People feel when people get when people sit inside of interrogation rooms and they say they committed crimes that they didn't really commit. It's because of the powerlessness that they feel, because of the human nature, because of this psychological aspect of policing. And so they understand that same psychological aspect can assist them in arresting somebody. They understand that same psychological aspect leads to people being killed, leads to people running away, leads to people resisting arrest. But they use it against them when it behooves them. And so, and anyways, I'm getting off topic, but that was all to say that, it's 3 investigations by the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force at this moment, and the city is still moving as if no issue has happened since the last time the city stopped. But I want to so let's get back to Kathy McDermott. Just talk about this Kathy McDermott thing, because I keep on jumping over this. So, all right, the Velvet Robot coffee shop that I go to, I like the manager that's in there, the workers that's in there, I like the owner, multiple of the people that frequent the coffee shop I've had conversations with, and I know other people who happen to be going to the shop too. So they got a nice music playlist there. So, and again, that's proof of me and us being supportive of local businesses, of small businesses, is the fact that I frequently went there. This is not a place that I just go to every now and then. It's a place that I go to routinely. One of the first times that I was there, Kathy McDermott came around the corner while I was inside of Velvet Robot, and I was surprised. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that she had came around the corner. Before then, I had brought up the Wire Coffee Shop. The Wire Coffee Shop that I used to go to, or not, I used to go to. Went to the Wire Coffee Shop one time, and as I was walking in, Kathy McDermott was walking in, and I got out the way real quick. It was one time I was walking down the street. Kathy McDermott was walking down the street with her son, and I'm trying to make sure I get quick across the street to get away from her over there. So this is just to let you know the extent. This woman, who I've never threatened, I've had one conversation with. These are the extents. The amount of times I've interacted with this woman, from me being downtown and her being downtown. And again, me and this woman have never had I have no charge that is connected to her being involved in, except for the fact they just added a no contact order. And so inside Velvet Robot, she walks in, I see her, I walk out. I get out, I get my coffee cup, I put the laptop up, and I walk out. And then I have multiple other instances where I'm inside the coffee shop, inside Velvet Robot. She walks in, I get my stuff, and I walk out. It had every time. It's yet to happen where she comes in and I stay. Each time I get my stuff and I walk out, because not only am I cognizant of the no contact order, but because I'm cognizant of the situation I'm in as a black man with this white woman being able to play the victim like this. Hold on one second. That's when. And so again, being cognizant of these things, I've always left any areas this woman has been at any time that she has been there. And it's honestly been one of the more emotional, taxing things on me. It got to a point where, and now I'll never go back to Velvet Robot. But because of how these things have unfolded. But it got to a point where, I felt like, I had to go, just because of the fact that if I didn't go anymore, it's because this woman had ran me out of this place, that I had no issues with the people there. The owner and the manager have not had any issues with me. They have not said anything to me about shouldn't be there or having a problem with me. So this woman running me out of there, just went against my spirit. So, I continued to go. But 2 days ago, I was there with a friend. We was inside of Velvet Robot. I was sitting down eating. A bagel had just came. I had a coffee. We were sitting down talking. Laptop was out. Kathy McDermott came around the corner. My friend said that he had seen a woman leaning around the hall a few times, and he didn't know what she was doing. He said he just seen a woman leaning, but he didn't say nothing to me about it at the time. Later on he would bring this up. But so Kathy McDermott ends up coming around the corner. I see her. I get my stuff, close the laptop up, put it in a bag, get my backpack. I walk out. My homie give me keys to his car. I walk out. I left the bagel that I had sitting there, and my coffee too. And so Again, this is to point out that I'm going out of my way, and again, this goes against my spirit completely. Like I feel like I'm being forced to get up out my seat and move to the back of the bus, or being told I can't sit in the front of the bus. Like it goes completely against my spirit. But I still do it because because I am cognizant of the fact that I'm trying to stay out of jail, even though I know that this is an unjust thing. So I leave, come down here. The guy at Velvet Robot even tells me, he came down here to try to give me the bagel and the coffee later on or whatever. So, but anyways, going about my day. But as that was Tuesday, Wednesday, today, Friday in court. One of the things that they brought up as a violation of my condition of release, violation of the pretrial conditions or whatever, was I had interactions with Kathy McDermott at Velvet Robot. That was that was the state's attorney who and the state's I can't remember the name of the state's attorney. I'm bad with names. He a racist motherfucker too. The whole state's attorney office all racist. It ain't I don't feel like it's really need to explain that. But you can go watch The Way. And let me point this out too, because I know how people are. People like to feel like you just using a race card, you just throwing things out. I'm gonna make sure that I give some basis for this thesis. You go and you look up the way that Jay Hanley reacted after the shooting at Don Carter's. You go and look at the headlines that Jay Hanley said after the shooting at Don Carter's. You go look at the press conference that Jay Hanley had up there after the shooting at Don Carter. The mass shooting of white terrorism, white domestic terrorism that has been taking place in this nation since its inception, that has always been a danger to everybody's lives since the inception of this nation. It has never been a day in this nation, a day in the land of this country in which white terrorism did not put thousands of lives at risk on a daily basis. He got up there and addressed that white terrorism like it was a cry for help, like it was just this somber moment. You didn't hear him get up there and talk about how Rockford and Winnebago County won't be a city or area that puts up with white domestic terrorism, won't be a city or area that allows mass shootings to take place, that he was going to do everything in his power to make sure it wasn't no more mass shootings, that he was going to do everything in his power to make sure it wasn't no more acts of white domestic terrorism taking place in this city, to ensure that everybody was safe from it. He didn't speak about none of those things. He had an opportunity to set a tenor and a manner for maybe a possibility to keep people from school shootings or grocery store shootings or mall shootings or movie shootings. If he wanted to, if he had the opportunity, if he wanted to, at the very beginning of him being in office, he could have got up there and addressed this issue of mass shootings with complete ferociousness, with a complete dedication and determination to let anybody who would think about doing mass shootings know, if you do a mass shooting and engage in an act of white domestic terrorism while Jay Hanley is the state's attorney, you will go down and they will catch you. He could have did that. He didn't do that. Chief of police didn't do that. Mayor did. None of them went up there and did that. They just was up there and they was sad. That was it. They just was up there and they was just valuing the life that had been lost. Not trying to send a message to somebody else who may think about doing the same thing. Not trying to send them. They was trying to talk about the value that they placed on the life. They wasn't trying to get up there and talk about their opinion on somebody else who may devalue those people's lives the same way. Now, when the shooting happened at the mall, when the Cherry Vale shooting happened at the mall, then nobody get shot, then nobody get killed. A man was just out there shooting. You go and you watch that press conference. You go and you watch Big Dick Hanley get up there and you watch the way he talk. You watch the way he talking with his chest out and talk about how this, if you do these things in the city, they'll catch you. And you get up there and you watch the way he talk about the shootings. Go look at the headlines on the newspaper. Even the newspaper, it said big headlines. We will catch you. We will catch you. You go look at that. You go watch that news conference and you go watch the tenor of that news conference, the way they did that news conference. No victims. Nobody was shot. But I will tell you the difference between the two shootings. The mass shooting, the act of domestic terrorism, it was a white man who did it. A white man who did it, and he served in the army, served in the military. He served. Excuse me, I don't mean to, and I'm not devaluing service. I'm just saying I don't know which branch he was in, but he served. But when the one who did, the young man who did the shoot, who was accused of doing the shooting at the mall, the young man accused of doing the shooting at the mall was black. So he was criminalized immediately. So he was dehumanized immediately. So he was stigmatized immediately, even though he didn't shoot a single person, even though he not one bullet that went out of his gun hit a person. He was completely stigmatized and criminalized immediately. And then add to the fact that it has been, it's cameras all over Don Carter. It's camera. It is 100% videos and cameras or pictures of this man doing this shooting. You have not seen no video or no picture or no photo or nothing like that be released to the public. But you go watch that Cherry Valley Mall shooting. You go look right after they made an arrest. They got somebody holding a gun. They got somebody holding the gun. What you thinking? And again, holding the gun, waving holding a gun for the Cherry Valley during the Cherry Valley Mall shooting. So you go back and you watch that. You go back and you look at the differences, and that is how you know that it's a racist state's attorney's office. That's how you know that you're dealing with a racist city, that you're dealing with a racist county, because you ain't seen a single picture be put out of the shooting that took place at the Don Carter, where it was victims and people was killed, and it was a bigger news story. But the cover 23 and 13 had a moment where they had the mug shot of the person that they arrested, accusing of doing the Cherry Valley Mall shooting. Then they had a picture of that same person inside the or somebody that they say to be him inside the mall, and then another picture of somebody else that they claiming to be him outside the mall holding the gun. And he's supposed to have a fair trial, and Jay Henley telling you that he concerned about fair trial. The reason he not gonna release the dash camera video footage of the Rockford Police Department chase is because he worried about a fair trial. The reason Tyrus Jones video footage not released is because he's worried about a fair trial. Jay Henley don't want no fair trial. State's attorneys don't want fair trials. If they wanted fair trials, then the public defenders that people get would be at a higher caliber. The state don't want no fair trials. If they wanted fair trials, they wouldn't be. Listen, this is how I know they don't want fair trials, because I sit here right now charged with crimes and still going forward with trials with crimes where other people who are charged with the same thing have had their charges dropped. So how the hell they want a fair trial? How I'm going to have a fair trial when you telling me somebody who got arrested for the same thing that I got arrested at the same time, has had their charges dropped, and I have not had mine dropped? That means that the onset of the trial is beginning from a place of inequality. So how from a place of unfairness. So how can the trial that's going to proceed be fair? Why would you think that the office that's doing this is operating from a standpoint of fairness? And so it's no desire for a fair trial. That's not what's holding the release of this video footage. It's that certain videos paint certain pictures and other videos paint different pictures. And the ones that paint pictures that put these institutions in a negative light, they want to hold on to those videos long enough for people to not be paying attention to them no more. They want to hold on to those videos long enough for legalities to have gone through, for people to have sued and gotten money from the city because they understand that if the videos get released and people see how these things went, even though they not gonna penalize the police officers, and it don't matter what happened. Police officers could shoot somebody with their hands up in the middle of the streets. 10 people got it filmed and recorded. If it's some type of criminal record here in not even criminal record here in Rockford, there's no belief or no proof that the police officer would stand any type of penalty for any type of shooting. Multiple people have been shot here unarmed. This is not a city or area where the shootings that have taken place under these heinous pretexts or these incredibly violent pretexts. The reason that is so many shootings is because of the lack of accountability around the shootings. The lack of accountability around these macroaggressions is what enables these things to continue to happen at this level. I think I did it. Let me see. We went through Kathy McDermott. We went through Velvet Robot. So I do a different. Some of these things I'm gonna have to do a separate video for and do some of these things in segments. Again, I just got out of jail from the bond being increased. One of the things that was brought up as a violation of my conditional release is seeing Kathy McDermott at Velvet Robot, the place that every time I done seen her at, I done left. And again, that's how you know Kathy McDermott ass is racist. Kathy McDermott done went out of her way Even though this white woman know that every time she has seen me inside this coffee shop, I have gotten up and left. This white woman went out her way to tell the state's attorney's office or call the police and tell the police that she seen me at Velvet Robot. And again, for any of you black people that's out there, you are, and again, this is the one of the arguments that's sort of been posed to me is people trying to paint like, oh, it's not about Kathy McDermott, it's not about City Market. Man, you whatever people got to tell themselves to sleep at night, whatever people got to say to justify things to themselves, that's on y'all. But you are helping Kathy McDermott. You are helping a racist white woman benefit. You are helping this racist white woman financially. You are helping this racist white woman career-wise. And again, this racist white woman is endorsed by the city. And ain't nobody going to endorse no racist people that ain't racist. That's how things work. Because people who aren't racist, because this is the thing, it's no, see, this is the problem. This is why people get offended about being called racist, because people think it's 3 categories for racism, right? They think that either you racist, you not racist, or you against racism. You see, and so it's a lot of people who they feel like they not racist. They not against racism though, but I'm not racist. My wife is racist. I'm not racist. My son racist. I'm not racist. Where my place of employment is racist, I'm not racist. The people who I vote for believe have racist ideologies, I'm not racist. But then you look into the things that they do. They not never bringing up to all of these at work with all at this racist job. They never combating the racism. They just quiet while it's happening. Around their racist wife or their racist children or their racist family members, their racist friends, they never challenging their racism. They just quiet when it's. You do me a favor, bro. You can hit the. You do me a favor. You can hit that. Well, let me see. Yeah, look. I'm gonna let it go to the. Let the battery ride out. Hold on. Okay. So. Oh yeah. It is plugged up out there. Yeah, by the far back one. Yeah. Good looking. And so again, so that's why I say that Kathy McDermott is racist because of these actions and that I just told you about, and that is how I know that City Market is racist. And again, I tried to and see, this is one of the things that I did with that we did is, you know, I was real heavy with we gonna see how things go. Let's see how this first City Market go. Let's see how things play out before again, I don't think calling nobody Uncle Tom is an ad hominem attack. Personally, I know somebody else might take that as an ad hominem attack. I think that an Uncle Tom is a political a political state. It's a not political statement, but that is something. People are Uncle Toms. They are used as pieces, as pawns. It's like a title that's, like tokenism. I don't take that as no ad hominem attack. I'm not attacking you when I say that you are Uncle Tom. I'm just telling you like it is. That's not an attack. Telling somebody that they a coon, that's not an attack. I'm telling you what you doing. This is what you doing. Telling somebody they a house Negro, that's not an attack. I'm telling you what you doing. Because it's obvious that while you doing this, that you don't understand the historical reference for what you are being used for. So you need to understand the historical reference. And we are in a place now where Kathy McDermott has reaffirmed her racism, where Tom McNamara and the city of Rockford have reaffirmed their racism in the tearing down of the memorials again today. Less than 24 hour period, 24 hours of them being up. They tore the memorials down again with the actions in which that they've look at the extent. I want how many people who done had a child be killed or a child murdered or somebody they care about be killed or murdered or shot. You ever seen the police or the city go to this extent to find them? That they went to shut this street down and shut this down for City Market. And so this is exactly what I'm saying. These are the things that I'm trying to point out. And so if City Market wasn't racist, they would not be enabling this racist white woman to be the face of their endeavors in the city. If the city of Rockford wasn't racist, it would not be going hand in hand with City Market as City Market engaged in racist tactics and in racist racist actions. And then now where do you stand, right, where some of these, because some of these black people who are inside of City Market, who are vendors in City Market, or who are cooking in City Market, or who are doing these things in City Market, have interacted with Kathy McDermott and have had conversations with Kathy McDermott and have talked to Kathy McDermott. And Kathy McDermott is a racist white woman. You have to understand that, and these people know that Kathy McDermott is the person who is benefiting from this. Kathy McDermott, if City Market goes real good, Kathy McDermott does real good. City Market goes down real bad, it do real bad, Kathy McDermott looking real bad. It's not going bad. It's going bad. And the same thing, the city of Rockford has shown you where people talk about all the time, why are you at City Market? Why y'all going to City Market? And let me do this too. I want to, and I don't know. And this we just gonna rock out for a second. I'm gonna play something real quick. When did the Secretary of State, who was Democrat, let me see something. Hold on one second. The one that recently charged that cop for killing how come that state's attorney didn't have that same energy and attitude when it happened, when nothing but Democrats? Let me see. There's nothing but Democrats. All right, I want to play something real quick. I don't know how loud this is.
Realizing that except for Christmas, we decided to schedule our direct action program.
Oh, damn. I ain't trying to play that. Okay, so I want to play something real quick. A lot of people have been asking about, and I need to just end this and start another one, but a lot of people have been, actually, I do need to start another one and talk about this specifically. I done did a stream of thought for too long. I need to talk about specific things. All right, I'm going to end this, and I'm going to do a different live, and I'm going to just talk about specific things. I done stream of consciousness over with. But I am going to end this with this, though. We had went, you know, and this is, I guess this probably should be me speaking for myself and not on that May 30th Alliance Live, but it is what it is. I was going out of my way, and we have been going out of our way, just like last year. See, this is why it's important to have a bigger platform, and this is why narratives are important and storylines are important, right? Now, in the newspaper, we talked about how we weren't saying boycott City Market, how we weren't saying sabotage City Market, how it was just protest to City Market, how we wanted people to come out and we wanted people to be there and we wanted people to get the message out. That's the same things that we wanted, right? I even talked to a few people who participated in City Market who came down, and I told them the same things. We have to, again, and the reasons for that is because I do agree with, this is a new year, it's a new season. We have to see how things go. We have to see how things roll out. And in 1 week, in the first week, I mean, really before this first week, we really did sort of see with the Todd Cagnoni BS arrest, but really specifically with the things that have just taken place here, the things that took place today with the extent that they went to limit people's freedom of speech, and then with Kathy McDermott, the woman that's in charge of City Market, participating in this bullshit increase of bond, which is just a reminder that she's participated in the arresting of all these people and the weaponizing of the police and all these people all year, all last year. And so ain't nothing changed. That was one of the things they was talking about, how they wanted to do things differently, or they felt that they could have done things differently last year. Man, this white woman ain't changed, ain't no change no way. She don't feel no differently. She more ingrained in it. These white folks more ingrained in it. So I don't know how any black people are going can continue to participate in City Market with this white woman doing these things. We're seeing the extent that these white people went to limit freedom of speech, after seeing the theatrics that they went through this week with the memorials, with some of the flyers. I don't know how black people, how this money spin, I don't know how this image spin, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like, or image spin, how this image look, it's one of those things where it's like, how much is money now worth image in history, or perception in history, or perception in the future? People will all be we are not and again, this is one of the things we've been most transparent about, and this was one of the things that even as I was sitting in jail, was difficult to be in jail, but it was one of the things that I could lean on in jail, and that's that we pushing forward. We're only pushing forward. We only going forward. And in the midst of pushing forward and going forward, all the things that we've been all the things that we're doing are only getting spread to more people, only getting known by more people, only being seen and witnessed by more people. And as it stands, it's more people outside of Rockford than it is inside of Rockford. More people outside Winnebago County than it is inside Winnebago County. And how I work with these issues is that the further out that people start hearing about these things outside of here, the less the people who get involved with them are the people who agree with the power structures or agree with these institutions. They become the people who disagree. They become the people who are against these things. And so what is your perception going to be? What's the perception of these places and these businesses that y'all have? What's the perception going to be in 2, 3, 4 years when historically it's remembered that y'all participated in this racist event? Because every year, City Market will just become more and more synonymous with racist, and more synonymous with white nationalism, and more synonymous with police terrorism, and more synonymous with mass incarceration and racial injustice. And so, as it goes forward in the future, and it continues to be synonymous with these things, how does your image recover from participating in this? How does your image recover from enabling this, endorsing this? And again, it's clear that they have went out of their way to get the minorities, and I'm not going to even do minorities because I don't know. I'm going to speak for black people. They have went out their way to get the black people that they have there for political reasons. People are being used as political pieces, and so being used as a political piece, you have to understand, if you're being used as a political piece, you need to understand whose political ends that it behooves, whose political ends that it benefits. And as it stands, there's not a black person within City Market that is doing more for black people collectively by being inside City Market than they will be doing for black people by being outside of City Market, whether that be through not participating in City Market or whether that be through protesting at City Market. And that's just the fact of the matter. I don't, white people somebody else gonna have to speak to and for white people, because I can't do that. I don't have the capabilities. I think that's outside of my purview. But what I can do is speak from the standpoint of black people, from the standpoint of a black man, and that is the truth. I would think more of the people who are trying to not think more, but it's more integrity to be found in a group of in trying to combat City Market than it can be found in anything inside City Market. It's more benefits in trying to combat City Market than it is in capitulating or participating in City Market. And the reason is because the city of Rockford is who's benefited by City Market. That's the bottom line. It's the city of Rockford. The city of Rockford granted the permit to be bigger. The city of Rockford sends its law enforcement out there. The city of Rockford getting tax from all the people that's down there participating. The city of Rockford works closely with all the entities of City Market. And so this is just one syndicate. It's one syndicate. And so as a black person being used as a pawn for that syndicate, or as a black person being used as a pawn in the in the midst of this syndicate operating, you have to start considering whose ends are you serving? Whose ends are you serving? And it's clear after this first week. It's clear after the things I heard inside the courtroom around Kathy McDermott. It's clear that the ends that you are serving are the ends of white supremacists, are the ends of white nationalists, and are the ends of racists. And those racists present themselves in the form of Tom McNamara. Them racists present themselves in the forms of Kathy McDermott. Those racists present themselves in the forms of Peter Provenzano. Those racists present themselves in the forms of Todd Cagnoni. Those racists present themselves in the forms of Kyle Saunders. Those racists present themselves in the forms of the Jay Hanley. And the more that you continue to endorse and enable some of these institutions, the deeper that these holes get, the deeper that these issues get, the deeper that these roots become. And we're not going to be able to uproot this tree while people, especially people who are black, are continuing to deepen the roots. All right, we outside. I'm gonna end this one. Yeah. So crazy.